You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to all of those great shows to get great Patriots content all week long. But as I said tonight, it's the Patriot Nation Podcast with me, Pat Lane, and my guy, Matt St. Jean. And Matt, we're a few days removed from the colossal collapse by the Patriots. Patriots fans were not happy with me this week. They were not pleased with me this week, and a lot of infighting going on. And honestly, the Bills fans are so funny because they've been victory lapping as if they swept us this year, and we didn't go into Buffalo and beat them earlier this year. It's just kind of funny.
No, we'll see. What do you call it? We'll see what happens in the playoffs here. Because we might need to make this a best of three, the way the first two games went. I think there probably should have been warning signs about that second half performance littered throughout the last month and a half. The Patriots offense is one of the best in football in the first half and has been bottom half in the NFL in second halves this year, especially as of late. And, this is part of what happens with young players coming into the league. They do certain things well, and they succeed at those things, and then those things get taken away as teams scout you and figure out what your strengths are, and they're going to force you to play left-handed a little bit, force you to do something a little bit different. In this case, on Sunday, the Bills basically dared you to beat them from the pocket with your arm and mix up their coverages in a way that was like, we're not going to let you take deep shots. You're going to have to check it down underneath. And I think you had a combination of Patriots receivers not having a very good game, Bills defensive backs having a good game, May not making a lot of good decisions. And I think the play calling in the second half, the expectation was that the Bills were going to do what they had done in the first half. And by the time you realize in the second half that they're doing something different, it's almost too late. You run 18 plays the entire second half. There's not really time to make adjustments. You're barely out there to do anything. So, just got to put that one in the rearview mirror and face a very good Baltimore team on the road that has a lot to play for.
Yeah, and I'm still so mad about it. I just feel like you had the opportunity there in front of you. I've been saying all week, one 7-minute drive, even if it ends in a field goal, one long sustained drive in the second half, and they win that game. Even if it was just a field goal, because as you said, you run 18 plays the entire second half. You gained one first down in the entire second half. Obviously, at the long Travion Henderson touchdown run, obviously a great play, right? Great play by him, great play by Drake May. It was a great play all around, right? I hated the play call, but it was a great play all around. But outside of that, you had one first down. You ran 17 other plays outside of that play. And it's just like, that's not good enough. And that is something that has been building. Drake May in the second half has not been great. Drake May in the fourth quarter has not been great. I think the play calling has slipped a little bit. Now, it's funny that we say that, but then at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, Drake May in the second half maybe hasn't been as good, but also he did have the game-winning touchdown, the game-winning field goal drive against the Bills, right? Yeah. He has had other moments where he's been able to do things, but luckily, the Tampa Bay game is another great example. Tampa Bay comes back, should have tied the game, missed the extra point, and the Patriots end up winning the game. They can't score any points, but they end up winning the game because of the missed extra point. And, it's just another example of the Patriots not being able to take advantage of a situation in the second half.
Yep. And I think one of the things that stood out the most to me when you just like looked at play calling first half versus second half, um, the Patriots had 5 second downs in the second half, not a single run call in there against the worst run defense in the NFL, basically. Yeah, one of the worst. And I think that's just getting a little bit too cute with it. I think part of that situational, some of those second downs, you end up backed up. Two of those are drives where you're really trying to score at the end of the game, so you're throwing anyway. But yeah, I think one of those, I don't remember if it was a first or a second down, but you have like the deep play action shot they try. And I don't know, there were a couple spots that they probably just should have run the ball, and they said we're going to put this in May's hands. And uh, you know, the Bills have a much better pass defense than they do a run defense. You're playing into your hands when you play that way. And I think those are plays that you want back as a play caller, is my guess. If you're Josh McDaniels, and you want back as a quarterback, if you're Drake May, and you want back if you're receivers. Um, and it was a combination of things. It's really, you watch back the tape, and it is a team loss
Oh yeah.
through and through. Um, and I think one of big picture about this game, we talk about the officiating, obviously not good, but you look at the disparity in like holding penalties and stuff. I think the Patriots kind of earned it there. Were one or two that I thought were obvious that got missed, but like that happens. I thought some of the plays you could have called holding penalties on. The refs are keeping the flag in their pocket because, you're also like on special teams, you got guys that are getting their asses kicked. All right, well, if you got two guys pushing you 15 yards backwards, that they're also grabbing you, keeping you from going around them, it's kind of irrelevant at that point. You're never going to get the flag on that.
Right.
And I think the same is true for kind of the reverse for coverage. The Bills' defensive backs are very handsy. They're very grabby. They do that all game long. And we know from NFL history that like they're just gonna, we know how officiating. They're humans. Everything's
Mhm.
relative. If all the plays look the same and they're all equally grabby, they're just not going to get flagged that much. The Patriots definitely had a tendency to try to cheat a little when they got beat and only be handsy and reach out then. And they got caught doing it. And like
Right.
where the Carlton Davis one to me was that to me is like the epitome of putting yourself in a bad spot. Like
Right.
you lose the rep a little bit, so you start panic grabbing a little bit, even though you grab in a way that doesn't help you with the coverage at all, but is highly visible to the official. Should that have been a penalty? Like, did that affect the play? Probably not. Probably not enough contact. But you're putting it in the ref's hands by panicking and grabbing the dude in a highly exposed way on a massive play. And yeah, the Bills I thought were much more consistent about that stuff and much savvier about where they're grabbing you. And got learn to cheat better. I don't know.
Well, no, and ultimately, I mean, that's, look, I always go back to the adage. It's funny, I'm coaching basketball now, and the team we played on Tuesday night is just physical and hacks nonstop. Interestingly enough, it's Foxborough High School, but they just hack. And it's like, you can't call them all. You can't call every penalty. So it's like, if I do it to you every single play, you might get me a few times, but as long as it's not egregious, you're not going to call it on every time. And so, you can get away with it for the most part. And as you said, I think the way you said it was perfect with the Carlton Davis one, where it's like, that's he obviously grabbed him. Does it have an impact on the play? No. Should it have been called in that situation? I don't believe so. However, there's clear and obvious evidence as to, hey, he obviously grabbed him. Now the refs, the refs love making it about themselves, especially late in the game. They do. They get off on that stuff. Don't give them the opportunity to do that. And you put yourself in a bad spot. The Marcus Jones one is inexcusable. I will never.
Yeah, that's just.
I will never give up on that one.
That and the Saints play this year or two that make me go, just what in the world?
It just makes no sense.
Going on with it?
Makes absolutely no sense.
But I mean, every other call in the game, really, I thought was defendable, and I might not agree with it, but you understand it, and if they call it that way both ways, I don't think anyone has a problem with it, other than like, hey, maybe we're throwing too many flags.
And again, ultimately, what it comes down to is that, for me at least, what it comes down to is very simple. You're up 21-0. You're up 24-7 at the half. It should not come down to the refs making one or two calls, and that's why you lose the game. It just shouldn't. Yeah. If you do a better job earlier in the game, if you do a better job in the second half of controlling the ball and scoring some points, those calls don't matter. They don't. And you win the game anyways. And that just, it's inexcusable.
And the flip side of it, too. I mean, the defense, you allow 5 straight touchdown drives. I mean, yeah, it's just, I don't care what quarterback is on the other side. You get a failing grade for the day when that happens.
100%.
Unacceptable. And it's, you look at kind of how it transpired, and just a couple plays where you're not good enough against the run. And it's a lot of it was anytime the Patriots were in a light box, the Bills are going to run it. And the second that we were bringing extra bodies into the box, that's sometimes you saw Allen scrambling in those situations and picking things up. But a lot of times it was just play action. We're going to get the ball. And they ran a lot of play action. Like I think one of the worst defenders for the Patriots on Sunday was probably Marcus Jones. And I hate to say it, but it was Patriots are going to play man coverage, and you have to load the box against the Bills because the running game is so good. So now you've got Marcus Jones in the box where he has like legitimate run responsibilities, also trying to play man coverage. And there's one drive where twice he gets beat for big plays because you're asking a lot of a guy in that spot. So that's, I don't know. That's one of those defensively. You look back at this game, and I think you wish you played more zone defense, because anytime that you were loading the box, getting into condensed stuff, it was just you're playing man and they're play actioning you to death. So like we talked about on the recap, that play where it's Christian Gonzalez and Christian Ellis kind of picking each other in the red zone that helps lead to the James Cook touchdown.
Yep.
The other solution to that is that, all right, we're in a situation here where on that side of the field, it's just like 2 tight ends and then the running backs also on that side in the backfield. Why are you even playing man coverage over there? That should be a zone or some kind of a match or something so that you're not getting that in the red zone. So, yeah, I thought play calling all around left a lot to be desired. And I thought the Patriots got thoroughly outcoached, which is kind of impressive given how well they played in the first. Like, I thought the Patriots came in with the better game plan, and the Bills made much better adjustments, had a better energy level. And also the special teams wrinkles they threw in were really impressive. And I honestly don't really blame the Patriots special teams, but what the Bills were doing on that kickoff stuff, I think is tough to defend if you have not seen it before and don't have an opportunity to prepare for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just, yeah.
By the way, I don't know. The kickoff returns, I'll explain very briefly what the Bills did on them. In the first half, what they did is like on the edge of their formations, they put offensive linemen, and then the guy it'd be like the second from the end or whatever, or it would, I think, all the way on the end. And they basically treated it like a power running play on the outside where the offensive lineman blocks down towards the inside of the field, and then you like pull someone around and use the lead blocker who's back with the returner. And you're using the offensive lineman. He's gonna seal. Then you have 2 pullers that go up the sideline, and you just run right behind them. And it was open lanes. And then first kickoff of the second half, the Patriots are clearly planning for that, and they are clearly playing to the outsides to make sure that they don't get sealed off. Well, this time they put offensive lineman back there as the lead blocker in the kickoff like landing zone with the returner. And they basically like the Bills like kind of clear out the middle of the field. They actually let whoever's in the middle, I think it was Ellis for the Patriots, go completely unblocked down the middle of the field towards the returner. And that's where they have the offensive lineman come in as the lead blocker. You have a couple double teams up the middle, and you probably could have called 3 different holding penalties on that return if you wanted to. But I also didn't think the Patriots earned the holding calls. They didn't fight back hard enough or put themselves in the spot where an official's ever going to see it or call it.
Right.
So, and I think on the kickoff returns across the board, I thought the Bills just wanted it more. They hit harder. They ran faster. They played with more intensity. You look at you talk about resetting the line of scrimmage on like a run play. if you look at where the blockers are engaged on the kickoff returns for the Bills returns versus the Patriots returns, you can just immediately tell a physicality difference of which team's playing better right now.
Which is disheartening because, in the Giants game, it was the exact opposite, right? The Patriots came to play and they were playing physical and they were playing tough. And it's like, those are the things that we did. And you felt like this team is turning a corner. And then all of a sudden, you get what you got last night. And, you get what you got on Sunday. And it's just not good enough. It's just flat out not good enough. And, it's just not what you're looking for, unfortunately.
And it's not going to get easier this week, I don't think.
It definitely isn't. It definitely isn't. And you have to, the other part of it is that this team, they're hungry. They need it. They have to win. They have to win. And so if that's the case, then of course they're going to play hard. And of course they're going to hit hard. And of course they're going to push hard. And you have to be ready for that. The Patriots weren't ready for that against the Bills. Certainly not in the second half. And that's frustrating.
Yep. And I think, I do wonder how much of that energy level and wanting it more isn't actually that, but it's just an athleticism difference between the teams. Depth for New England. You see them immediately shaking things up at that backup linebacker spot to try to get, I think a better athlete in there who can play on special teams for them. And is it Muma who came over?
Chad Muma, yeah. Caleb Murphy was right there. He was the guy, maybe not responsible, but he was the guy right in that area. But
he also, even if we don't hold any of that against him, he hasn't been exceptional in any way either. He's been just a guy out there, and
correct.
They need better than that right now. So we'll see if Muma can do anything for him there. I do think that some of the special team stuff and the late in the game stuff is just a reminder of the weaknesses on this team, the lack of depth, the fact that we're kind of playing a weight class high right now from where we expected we would be. So you getting beat up the middle in part because you've got linebackers out there who are not starting linebackers on a good defense. You're playing lots of defensive tackles who are not going to be in serious rotation for a championship defense. You got safeties back there. I was critical of the safeties post game. I felt a little bit better after watching the tape. Woodson does get tagged for that penalty, rookie mistake, literally. I was funny. Every time I watch the game, I'm like, man, I don't feel like our safeties. I feel like they're just not quite there. And then I watched the tape back, and I'm like, that was better than I expected.
Yeah. The safeties aren't bad. I mean, look, there's
no playmakers there, though.
Well, that's the issue. And here's why. And you talk about the depth, and I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to talk about this just quickly. I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but if we look at the draft is where you get your depth. 2020, it's Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings, and Mike Onwenu. You got a whole bunch of crap in there as well. Doesn't help you at all. You draft Cash Malua, never plays for you. Anthony Jennings has been fine. He's a decent player. Kyle Duggar was pretty good for a while. Josh Uche, whatever. 2021, Mac Jones, Christian Barmore, obviously a big pick. Ronnie Perkins, never did anything. Mondre, Cam McGrone, never did anything. Josh Bledsoe, never did anything. So that's 2021. Now 2022 is a disaster of a draft outside of Marcus Jones, and that's it. Right, you want to say Jack Jones, I guess, has turned into a decent player in the NFL, but certainly not here.
Well, the questions with Jack Jones, too, were never about not really as much about his on-field ability as the off-field stuff. And the off-field stuff, why he's not here anymore.
That is correct. So, 2023, Christian Gonzalez, big-time hit. Keon White, Marte Mapu, Jake Andrews, Chad Ryland, Sidney So, Antonio Mafi, then Booty, Barringer, and Pop, But like, so that's good at the end, right? But a whole bunch of crap in the middle. By the way, Jake Andrews is starting for someone at center. I forget who it is. Houston, starting for Houston at center. So good for him.
They might see him again in a couple weeks here.
Yep. 2024, Drake May. Yeah. Right? Drake May, obviously. But then the rest of that draft we know is just trash. And so what happens is that we start to look at it and we start to say, this is where your depth comes from. Right? The 2025 draft looks pretty good. Now, we don't know for sure what Farmer and Swinson are going to do. Right? Will they be rotational guys? Farmer's already been kind of a rotational guy. Can Swinson ever get onto the field? Right? Can Marcus Bryant be kind of a swing tackle for you? But those first, 5 picks all look decent. Kyle Williams hasn't done a ton, but he's been out there. Those first 5 picks all look decent, and then you throw Joshua Farmer in there, and the first 6 picks look pretty good. And you feel really good about where you're at for those 6 picks, even depth-wise. But that the late round, the late day 2 and the day 3 picks have to fill in the depth on your team. And for 5 or 6 years, you haven't been able to do that. And I only started at 2020, but we could go back. We're not going to do this, but we could go back to 17, 18, 19, even go back to 16, right? You got Landon Roberts and Ted Karras in 16, but like outside of that, you're not hitting on any of those guys in the late rounds. None of them.
One, I think you look at where it shows up. We look at snaps played against the Bills. You have 3 guys who played 100% of the snaps. Jack Gibbons, who is like a cast-off linebacker who has experience with Vrabel, he brought in, who I think played admirably given what he is. He's just like he should be a linebacker 4 or 5 on a good team. You've got Jalen Hawkins, who is fine. I think he's played well in that role for New England. He's a third safety on a good defense. Right. And Christian Gonzalez, who we know can be a superstar, who I thought had one of his worst games of the season on Sunday, which is not great. Then you look down and you got Corey Durden playing over half of your snaps, Josh Farmer playing half your snaps. I think that's too big of a role for what he is right now. Charles Woods playing over a third of your snaps. Elijah Ponder, Leonard Taylor only plays 5 snaps in this game for you on defense. Someone they brought in did not look good. Durden is someone who I think has played well in his role, but he's just not good enough for this bigger role. You look at the Josh Allen QB sneak. Durden gets he doesn't say engaged. He is not in the pile when it happens. He's like his pad level is awful, and he gets totally pushed out the back standing up, which you just can't do as the A-gap defender on a QB sneak. And that's not the first time that's happened with him this year either. He has struggled in that role in particular.
Yeah, and he's not that guy, right? And it's almost like I can't blame him for that because he's a role player, and he's being thrown into a role that doesn't fit him, unfortunately. And this is what you get when you're not drafting well and you're not bringing in guys. Like free agency is a time to kind of go, and you can fill in the depth, and the Patriots did a nice job of doing that certainly this year, of bringing in depth guys as well. But like you should be getting depth players and your high end starters. Those guys should be coming from the draft.
Yep.
And then you fill in the middle of your roster. That's what free agency is about. If you're looking at free agency, it's the middle of the roster.
Generally speaking, or
typically
couple depth pieces. Yeah, like
right.
that's where you're doing. It's free agency is the tool you use to plug like specific holes from draft picks you missed. But if you miss on entire drafts, you're lost in the woods.
Right.
You replace things short term, and we'll see what this matchup would look like with a healthy Spillane and a healthy Milton Williams if we get them again in the playoffs. If those guys are healthy, then I think that makes a lot of difference, and I think it is a positive sign for the Patriots that play the Bills twice. Both games got to come down to the last possession. You split them, and you split with them and have the upper hand and control for the division. You're going to get, hopefully, healthier down the stretch. It's just, I think The flip side of this is you never know when your opportunities are going to come in the NFL, and maybe the team's better next year. Maybe they're not. Maybe the guys you drafted don't take a next step. Maybe your draft next year isn't as good. Maybe guys get injured. Maybe the schedule being that much harder does make a difference. And the fact that this is the performance you get last Sunday when a potential 1 seed and home field advantage and a bye is on the line, that the difference between being the 2 seed and having the Texans come to town potentially and being the 1 seed and getting to skip that round entirely feels massive to me right now.
Agreed.
And, you had an opportunity right here and now to make your path to the Super Bowl a lot easier, and you didn't do it. So and if you lose this Sunday and Jacksonville beats Denver, you're probably looking at a 3 seed.
Yep.
A very real chance of that 3 seed. So, things change in a hurry in the NFL, and we're in a whole new world than we were, Sunday at 12:59 p.m.
That's correct. Yep, that is correct. So, and we'll see. And it's not, I also think too, I'm not here. I've been saying, we said at the beginning of the year they were going to win 8 games, right? But I still don't know if they're a true Super Bowl contender. Maybe they are, but I still don't know if they are. And they obviously can prove me wrong and everything else, and I hope that they do. But are they a true Super Bowl contender? I don't know. Maybe. But I don't have the answer to that question. And it's just, then you look at it and say, okay, well, now what? If they're not, now what?
Well, I think the big concern, there's a couple big concerns when it comes to that conversation. But the big one to me is that you get into a playoff game where you have to go against an offensive coach who's pretty good at what they do. And we're not in the regular season anymore. We're going to get a lot more designery game plan. This defense worries me because I think they can get got. I think they can get got in multiple ways. And I think you go against a good coach. Like, obviously, we'll talk about like Denver and Sean Payton. Like, I think that offense can get you because Sean Payton's good enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go down, Liam Cohen has done well. Like, the Jaguars have quietly played like one of the best teams in the NFL since the trade deadline, since they brought Jacoby Myers in. And like, I don't know, an area of weakness for the Patriots has been like balancing run and pass defense and kind of defending the middle of the field and that slot area of the field, play action and all that. And like, all right, well, I don't know if we have anyone I really like against Jacoby Myers in that Jaguar scheme right now. And Liam Cohen's good at what he does. So like that stresses me out. That Texans offense doesn't necessarily, but like Nico Collins and CJ Stroud, it's a good combo right there, especially if Christian Gonzalez has an off day like he had this week.
Yep.
So, and obviously we know the Bills can beat you.
Well, and that's what it comes down to is that it's those guys. Those guys are the guys that you worry about, right?
Yep. Just
the Josh Allens,
not the Sam Darnolds.
God, Sam Darnold. That was just.
That's bad.
Seeing ghosts out there again, man. He's seeing ghosts. The good news is, I'm playing against Sam Darnold in my fantasy playoffs, and I have Matthew Stafford. So I will take it. That was going to be an interception, even if the defensive lineman didn't pick it off. That was going to be an interception.
What's crazy to me about the NFC picture right now is that like the 49ers, I think, are essentially a lock. The way things look, which means one of like the Bears, the Packers, the Seahawks, or the Lions is going to end up being out. Like one of those teams is sitting home in the postseason, and this banged up 49ers team is probably in, unless this 49ers team really blows it down the stretch. Like I think if the Seahawks won this game, then the 49ers had a chance for they controlled their destiny for the 1 seed.
Right.
Kyle Shanahan should be in Coach of the Year conversations. Right? I don't know if he's leading that or not right now, but like that's unbelievable.
I mean, he's doing that. He did it with Mac Jones.
Yeah, and like no Brandon Ayuk.
Right.
Kittle banged up. Offensive lineman banged up. They have no defensive line to speak of.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, if we're coming back to that Super Bowl conversation, I don't know if the Patriots are a contender to win the Super Bowl. I think everyone in the AFC playoff picture, except maybe who comes out of the AFC North, is a contender to make the Super Bowl.
Right.
Because I think every team is roughly equally fatally flawed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of the teams have a healthy balance between quarterback play and the rest of the roster.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
So it's like anything can kind of come out in the wash. I don't know if Sunday really changes much for me there, but I would have felt a lot better about the odds if you get I'm going to feel good about Denver's odds here probably because they're only going to have to win 2 games and they'd both be at home.
Correct.
Whoever ends up in that spot, I'm really going to like out of the AFC just because of those factors.
Well, and that's really what it comes down to when there's one bye, and especially when there's not a dominant team, right? There's no dominant team in the AFC right now. The dominant team right now is the Broncos, right? Because they're beating everyone, they're playing everyone hard, and they're beating everyone. They won again on Sunday against a good team, and so you just say, okay, well, if that's the case, then sure, they're the team to beat, and they get home field advantage. But it's like Buffalo can go in there and win. I think Jacksonville might be able to go in there and win, right? Like Houston can probably go in there and win. Like it's that type of stuff where I don't know. It's everything is up in the air right now. Everything. Yep. And this is a year when if things get crazy, the Patriots can make a run because there is no Patrick Mahomes. There is no, even Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. Like
maybe
it's just like
Sunday night goes.
I suppose that's true. Yeah. But like, who knows what's going to happen. Right. So I'm really curious to see, how the rest of the year finishes out. And look, ultimately for the Patriots to win the AFC East, they have to beat Brady Cook and Quinn Ewers. Yeah. If they can't do that, they don't deserve to win the AFC East.
You're not you weren't a Super Bowl contender regardless of the rest of it.
Right.
The neutral football fan in me, who just likes football, very excited for the AFC playoffs because it does feel like every game is like coin flip.
Yeah.
The Patriots fan in me is very anxious because, Patriots can get the 2 seed and have, a situation where you play 3 games at home in the playoffs if Denver gets beaten at home at some point. And they haven't been that good at home in recent seasons, even this year. They haven't. And every team they play is going to be bad as good as they are. So it's nothing surprises me.
Yeah, true. So
should we do a little ad read and get
into let's do an ad break and then we'll kind of drill down into this game here today. All right, so of course, this ad obviously is for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to do your daily fantasy sports. And listen, there's a million things going on right now, right? We're making decisions left and right. It's the best time of year to be a sports fan. There are bowl games. There are basketball matchups. There are playoff pushes. You and I are out here making decisions, as I said, every day, left and right, which gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch. There's one place where it always feels good to be right, and that's Prize Picks. And Prize Picks, again, is fun. And here's the nice thing about Prize Picks. One of the other nice things about Prize Picks is that when you're on Prize Picks, you can mix and match your lineups with other sports, which is great. You can do boxing, which we'll talk about in a minute. You can even, if you're outside Massachusetts, can do those college bowl games that are coming up as well. So make sure you get in on the action with Prize Picks. They also have an early payouts feature. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the games even finish. All right. My lineup for this week, I told you I'd be talking about boxing. There's a free square alert. Anthony Joshua, more than 0.5 total punches landed. Come on now. Free square, can't beat it. I also have Kamani Vidal with more than 43.5 rushing and receiving yards combined. And Trey McBride for more than 5.5 receptions. That's what I have going for today. And again, there is a tab where you can click on the people that you like, the people that you want to follow, and you can add their lineups with like a single click. So make sure you go on and do that. What you're going to do is download the app PrizePicks, put in the promo code CLNS. When you do that, you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code it's code CLNS on PrizePicks for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right.
This game just got a lot more interesting
Sure
while you were doing
did.
that ad read.
Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, I've always liked Shaheed, man. He'd be fun in New England.
He would be fun in New England. I feel like you have Kyle Williams and you're trying to develop Kyle Williams into Rashid Shaheed a little bit. But yeah, Rashid Shaheed is so much fun. Nice little punt return for touchdown. So
and this is a one possession game all of a sudden.
Yeah, they did get the 2 point. Oh baby. No, okay.
Yeah. That kickoff reminded me. I have one more note on the Patriots kickoff coverage stuff. Andy Borgala is not good on the kickoffs, man.
Yeah, it hasn't been good.
He's been a good field goal kicker. He's inconsistent on the kickoffs. And there were a lot of, I think the first couple of big returns the Bills had, the balls only get into the 6 or 7 yard line. I said those numbers again.
6.
Yeah.
And so hard. It's so hard. You don't even think about it, and then all of a sudden it's there. You know what I mean?
But credit to him, the one kind of out of the half was that he got that into the end zone. But I think ideally, as a developmental thing, I think for next year, I'd love for him to be able to consistently put the ball inside the 5, ideally at the 1 or the 2 yard line, make that return as difficult as possible. Work on some of the knuckleball kickoffs, the line drive kickoffs, just to make things harder.
Yep.
Because you want to win those kickoff returns. I think the way you wanted to use this to your advantage, if you can win kickoff returns and make teams start at their own, 25 on average instead of the 35, that is a massive help to your defense. Which
100%. Yeah.
Which special teams did the opposite for New England's defense on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's a huge reason as to why they lost. Obviously not the only reason, but the defense and the special teams just really hurt them, especially in the second half. And by the way, that was stuff that was going on in the first half, right? And it didn't destroy them in the first half, but it continued into the second half. And so when the Bills offense finally woke up, they were still getting great field position and allowed them, to score on some short fields. And that's just you just can't let that happen. So,
well, the first 2 Bills touchdown drives, 42 yards, 44 yards. That's the last drive of the first half, first drive of the second half.
Right. And it's not like they're on interceptions or something like that. That's just, that's just a kick return.
The worst field position the Bills had all day was on a pick. It's the best job that the Patriots did of pinning anyone deep.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I will say that Mac Hollins interception, rewatching on the film, I definitely did not think it was defensive pass interference. Because of Hollins, he and May miscommunicate. He takes the route inside and May throws the ball outside. So that's why it looks the way it does, because May throws the ball outside anticipating Hollins is going to go there, but he cuts inside and gives that space to the defensive back.
Yeah.
It's not pass interference because the defender is holding the ground that was ceded to him by the offensive player. The receiver doesn't have the right to push through a defensive back to go get the football through the body there, at least. So it's just small technical things like that where you're just putting yourself in bad positions and not being on the same page. And, I don't know. It was a sloppy game, which you don't love coming out of a bye against a team you've played before with stakes that high.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as good as the first half was, the second half was even worse. And so what I'm really hoping for is that they have a turnaround. They would turn things around this Sunday. As far as this game is concerned, right, as far as this Sunday night game is concerned, what do you think their easiest path to victory is? What do you think they have to do? Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. I think the guy that scares me the most, and the guy that should scare everyone the most, is Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton's just all over the field making plays. Makes plays in the running game, makes plays in the passing game. He's probably their best player. Lamar's their best player overall, but he's probably certainly their best defensive player and certainly one of their best players on the entire team.
Yeah, he's a great player. It's weird because this Ravens defense has not played very well this year. They've been middle of the pack or worse in a lot of stats. The numbers last week look great. They shut out the Bengals. The Bengals didn't seem interested in playing in that game, so I don't know how much I take away from that. And they also, the time of possession was like 40-20 Cincinnati. Like the Bengals were always on the field.
They just couldn't score.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything like schematically that super stands out to me against Baltimore, other than that they're like diverse and can blitz you. So like you don't want to put them in situations where you're making life harder on yourself. So I do think it's about consistency of execution. I want to see Kayshon Boutte more involved. He has not been that involved since he got back. I don't know why. It's not even him. May has not been throwing the football that much. May should just throw him the football more. That's my takeaway on that, because I thought he was open on the tape and could have contributed in a big way last Sunday and just didn't get the opportunities. So we'll we'll see if they can get him the ball. Tight ends too over the middle. Yeah, the Ravens do defend the middle well, but from a Mays comfort perspective, getting it to some big bodies over the middle is probably a good thing. And get the ball to Trevion. He's hot, so let him keep cooking.
Just give the dang ball to Trevion Henderson. Yep. And it has nothing to do, not a thing, has nothing to do with the fact that I have a bet in for him being offensive rookie year that I put in at the beginning of the year. Absolutely nothing to do with that. But he's been awesome. And so just keep feeding him, right? Feed Trevion, give him the ball. And again, this is where like that his second touchdown run, I hated that play call. You got Westover in the game. You run that weird kind of offset eye, and then you throw a toss to it. They had lost 5 yards on it when they had ran it earlier. They lost 5 yards on it again in that situation. And it just like that play doesn't work. And Henderson just kept it alive and took it the other way and scored. And that's, that's the type of stuff for me that, that obviously makes a big difference. So I just, I don't know. I give him the ball, give him the dang ball, and let's see what McDaniels can cook up as well. And hopefully that, it can kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and if you look at this Ravens defense, it's just breaking out some of the personnel splits against 11 personnel, so 3 receivers. They are 10th in the NFL this year in EPA per play. If you put 2 tight ends out there, they're 27th. So I think this is a week where you probably want some 2 tight end action. Curious how they balance the wide receiver usage out of that. Diggs has played 50% of snaps or fewer in 3 straight games. Since that Jets game, he has been less involved. And this is the least he's been involved all year in the last 3 games. I don't know what's going on there. They were clearly taking him out in long yardage situations on Sunday. So like they don't love his burst or speed right now. It looks like they view Pop as a better vertical threat in that role right now. So, maybe that's a referendum on how things are going internally, what they see out of him athletically right now. And maybe he's just a little bit diminished late in the season here and doesn't have his legs under him as he's, aging. If it were up to me, I'd want 2 tight ends out there with Boutte and Diggs. And I'd want a lot of unbalanced looks, like ones where it's 2 tight ends on one side. They call that nub, where it's 2 tight ends on one side and the 2 receivers on the other. Or a look where it's going to be, both tight ends are up there on the line of scrimmage on opposite sides, 2 receivers on the same side. So it's 1-by-3 or 3-by-1 formations. Something a little bit funky out of those, just to make the defense show you what they're doing and see where they want to play Kyle Hamilton. They want to play him deep. They want to play him in the box. They put him over tight ends. They put him over receivers. They want him in the running game. They want him in the passing game. and then just try to get away from him.
Right. Right. And ultimately, yeah, I agree with you on that. But yeah, I don't know. Look, it is what it is. I mean, I also think my personal take on it is Stephon Diggs needs to play more. He needs to play more. Maybe you don't trust his burst. Maybe you don't think that he, has it still or whatever. I don't care. He's one of your veteran leaders. He's been here before. Guess what? Your offense hasn't been as good since you stopped playing him as much. So get him in the flipping game and throw him the dang football.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Oh my God, they just reversed
This game is ridiculous.
It's gone off the rails. It's gone completely off the rails. So for those of you that aren't watching at home, and if you're listening the next day in podcast form, you probably already know, but they went for 2.
Seahawks to tie the game.
Seahawks went for 2 to tie the game after scoring a touchdown to A.J. Barner. Sam Darnold tried to throw a very similar pass to the Danny Amendola kind of quick screen pass that the Patriots threw in Super Bowl 51 to Zach Charbonnet. And the pass was broken up, incomplete. And as I'm talking to you, I'm like, I have it on mute, so I'm not listening to it. And so they just keep showing the replay over and over and over again. I'm like, did someone get hurt or something like that? And then I see the guy he has the headphones. I'm like, what are they talking about? They called it a fumble because it was a backwards pass by Sam Darnold, and Zach Charbonnet picked it up when he was in the end zone. He didn't fall on it. He just casually went over and picked it up when it was in the end zone because nobody went for it because everyone assumed it was an incomplete pass. But because Charbonnet picked it up in the end zone, that meant it was a good 2-point conversion for Seattle. And then now they've tied the game 30-30. This game is wild. So there you go. A fumble by Sam Darnold recovered by Zach Charbonnet for a touchdown for a 2-point conversion to tie the game. I mean, it's a 2-point conversion, so I guess I don't know. It's a 2-point conversion, so I guess it doesn't go in the record books, I guess, necessarily, quote unquote.
And nobody gets a stat for that other than 2 points.
To see what it looks like, because it's like a fumble I guess it's a fumble, but it's not really a fumble because
that's a fumble because it's a backwards pass.
But I mean, it doesn't count as a fumble for him.
That's a fumble for Sam Darnold, but it won't count.
But in the record book, it doesn't count.
Yes.
It's just so weird. It's just bizarre.
How can you not absolutely love this sport?
It's the best thing ever. It's the absolute best thing ever. And, just completely wild.
Oh, we have the I have the play-by-play for you.
Oh, it's here.
It's just it's 2-point conversion attempt. Sam Darnold pass to Zach Charbonnet is incomplete. Attempt fails. The replay official reviewed the forward pass ruling, and the play was reversed. 2-point conversion attempt. Zach Charbonnet rushes left end. Attempt succeeds. That's how that goes. That goes in as a rush.
It's outrageous. Well, I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because you're not calling it one way or the other. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's a rush. It's a fumble ball that's picked up for yards gained that goes in as a rush. That's how that's counted.
Right.
Yeah. So,
yeah, this is the tie
that was a fast 3 and out.
Sure was.
In the time it took me to read that play description, the Rams are about to punt the ball back.
Yep.
Oh, that was turned on its head.
Yeah, pretty wild. So,
yeah. Should we talk about what happens when Baltimore has the ball?
Yes, let's do that. And I think, when Baltimore has the ball, one of the interesting things for me is that Lamar Jackson has not looked good. He's back, okay, but since coming back from his injury, he just hasn't looked the same. And I think it's gotten a little bit better. Right, over the past few weeks. But realistically, here's the thing, right? And this is where, to me, it really comes into play. First game of the season against Buffalo, he has 70 yards rushing. Then he has only 13 against Cleveland, 35 against Detroit, 48 against Kansas City. He gets hurt in that game. 14 yards against Miami, 9 carries for 36 yards against Minnesota, 10 against Cleveland, 11 against the Jets. And then the last 3 games have been 6 for 27, 7 for 43 and a touchdown, and 2 for 26. So it's coming back a little bit for him, but he just doesn't seem like the same guy.
Nope. Well, and it's a lower body injury for him, which I think there's a couple. He's been listed, I think, with like 3 different lower body parts on the injury report at different points. And then missed practice. He's been like not practicing Wednesdays. It's like a rest day, which you never see from a quarterback.
No.
And then he was out this Wednesday with an illness. So it's like 4 different things that have been costing him. But he's not as mobile. He just doesn't have that acceleration that you usually expect from Lamar. So he's been reduced to being like a semi-pocket passer at this point. And this Ravens offensive line is just not that good right now. Like they're just not playing well. And you add on the fact that like that receiving core, the receiving core is good for a group that has a healthy Lamar Jackson and is able to run the football the way they want to run the football. The problem is they aren't. So it's, Zay Flowers having a good season for himself. He's gonna hit. He might go over 1,000 yards for the season on Sunday night. And then it's Mark Andrews, who's good, but just good. And Rashad Bateman's involved, and DeAndre Hopkins, and Isaiah Likely, and Justice Hill, Derrick Henry. They got a bunch of these guys who are like between 100 and 300 yards receiving this year. And other than that, it's Flowers and Andrews. So I think like defensively, on paper, a healthy Patriots team, you look at this and you feel really good about the matchup because you think you have a lot of juice in the secondary and you can take advantage of this porous offensive line and like really make life difficult for Lamar and, try to condense the field a little bit. Instead, you look at the Patriots injury report and Marcus Jones isn't practicing and Carlton Davis isn't practicing and Harold Landry isn't practicing. And it's, the Ravens are probably going to be able to run the ball very well Sunday night. Is kind of what I'm seeing out of this, and
kind of seems like it, yeah.
And it might come down to can you score enough on offense because Derrick Henry might just run right through it. And Derrick Henry quietly has like 1,100 yards already this season.
Right,
he's having a great year.
He is having a great year, but the interesting thing about Henry is that his stats are interesting because he's had some games where he's looked not great. Like he's had some games where I'm like, oof, I don't know. I mean, you look at the first game against Buffalo, he goes for 169 in that game. Then he cracks 50 yards once in the next 4 games. Right? Then he has 122 against the Rams. Solid. He has 500-yard performances this year. He's got a 90-yard performance, and outside of that, he's got 2 others over 70 yards. And that's it. So you look at it and say, all right, the numbers overall look good. But
game to game, it's been
game to game, right? And so that's the thing. Now, it's the end of the year, right? 2 weeks ago, 25 carries for 94 yards against Pittsburgh, 11 carries for 100 yards against Cincinnati. This is when they need him. This is when it becomes his time, right? Feel like the end of the year is when Derrick Henry just, people are feeling it and people are banged up in the secondary, and this is where Derrick Henry can take advantage of people. So maybe this is just him. He kind of starts off a little bit slow and then kind of dominates from there. And that's certainly going to happen. And if that happens, Peter's going to be in trouble, right? Peter's going to be in trouble. But
I just don't know how to be confident in this Patriots run defense right now. They have been atrocious since Milton Williams went down, and Milton Williams this week. That's a guarantee. Certainly seems like no Robert Spillane, who is in a walking boot and not practicing as well. And it's like, all right, well, I don't think losing Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones necessarily kills you in this game if they don't play, just with this receiving core. But it doesn't make things easier. And it's like, I don't know where the pass rush is going to come from. I don't know where the tackling is going to come from. And it's like, I think this is a game where you're going to have to stack the box aggressively and just hope they don't beat you over the top. The problem is that if that's how you're going to play, well, if it's Charles Woods and whoever in their corner, you probably can get beat over the top, even though it's Rashad Bateman and DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, so that's the issue, is that and again, we don't know the situation, but if Davis and Marcus are both out because they both didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, if they're both out, that's a big concern. That should be a huge concern for the Patriots, because who else do we have? Like, who's the fourth corner? That's where it becomes difficult. Charles Woods has been fine, but after right, is he starting and playing 95% of the snaps on Sunday?
Well, no.
And if he is, who's
Miles Battle is your fifth corner right now.
So it's Charles Woods, Miles Battle, and Christian Gonzalez.
Yep. And you got some corners on the practice squad, and I'm going to guess you'd see some elevations. Kobe Minor,
I'm sure.
Crossley, yeah, just to have bodies.
Yeah, but it's not those guys are any good.
Yeah, and it might end up helping you in that, because you don't have the guys you want. You have to play more zone, and they've kind of gotten killed in man the last couple of weeks. They've gotten killed in zone too. So I think it's going to have to. You think you're going to have to take away the run first, and maybe the Ravens just end up playing with multiple tight ends out there a lot. That's what I'm going to guess they do. And if they're going to play with multiple tight ends, all right, well, it's probably going to be, we're not going to be talking about the corner depth as much. It's going to be Jag Gibbons one-on-one with Zay Flowers or with Mark Andrews, or playing zones in the middle of the field, and that's its own nightmare.
Yep.
But this feels like one of those games where the Ravens are going to come out, they're going to want it, and have a QB with experience, and your offense is probably going to have to score 30 or more to win. Even though I don't have that much faith in Baltimore, maybe it isn't 30 because there's a lot of running and the game goes slow. But I think you're going to have to score on 2/3 of your possessions on this one.
Yeah, and again, if you play like you did in the first half against Buffalo, that's fine. If you play like you did in the second half against Buffalo, not so much, right?
Yeah.
And so it just comes to how good are they going to be, and can they keep that consistency up, and that's I don't know, and as you said, it becomes that question of who is there, right? Who is how well can they score? How well can they play? How often can they score? What does Drake May look like? And look, I'm not going to buy into any narratives, right? But there is a narrative that Drake May has small hands and has trouble in the cold or in weather. There's a narrative. I don't want to believe that narrative. I don't believe that that's true. But if he continues to struggle late in games, and as the weather gets colder, well, maybe that's true. And again, I don't believe that it is. But when those narratives exist and people talk about them, and then it's like, okay, well, all right, we have to listen to that. And can Drake shut those guys up and prove that's not actually a thing? Well, and I don't think it is. But people
the weather's not even going to be that cold this Sunday. It'll be chilly, but it's not. We're not looking at something dropping into the teens here or anything.
Right. The last two games will be, because you play one in New York, New Jersey, and you'll play one in Massachusetts. You would assume that both of those will be very cold. Maybe not, but you would assume that both of those will be very cold. Yeah.
So we'll see how he handles those. But I think this is one of those where you have to correct the mistakes from last week. I just don't think I am skeptical that the Patriots have the personnel to do what they need, and that puts
That's
you
the
in a weird
concern.
spot where, depending on what else happens, Sunday afternoon, the result of that Denver-Jacksonville game.
Yep.
If Denver wins that game,
It doesn't matter.
then this game kind of ends up not being super meaningful for the Patriots. But I will say that you don't love losing any game, and you'd like to build momentum and you'd like to play the right way. Like you don't it matters because you're going to play teams Baltimore like Baltimore or better in the playoffs.
Right.
So,
Right.
and you haven't played a lot of playoff teams this year, and I don't think you want to go into the playoffs with these being your last couple of performances against playoff teams.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. No, you got anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. All right.
You know what? I'll throw this out there because I was thinking about it. Quick discussion question. Unless we want to do a discussion question. This might be too late in the pod for a discussion question.
Well, how quick is it actually going to be?
It might be long. We'll save. Well, this might be an off-season one. We'll save it for then.
All right, let's save it for the offseason.
A little teaser.
Okay, that's a long. Oh no!
We missed it.
Oh no! The kicker. Oh,
this game
no.
is drunk.
Oh, two of Buffalo's favorite words. That, of course, would be wide right for anyone that doesn't know. Yeah.
Man, Rams special teams absolutely killing them in this.
Just brutal. Yeah. One quick programming note for you people out there. Matt doesn't even know this yet, so breaking news to Matt as well. Sunday night after the game, we will not be live on the CLNS YouTube. Okay, we will not be live on Patriots Press Pass. The only place that will be live is here on Pats Nation Network. So if you want to catch us live after the game, go to the Pats Nation Network YouTube and subscribe to us there. You will get the live show then.
Yes.
The show will also be broadcast in the morning on the Patriots Press Pass. Okay, obviously it won't be live. It will have been pre-recorded, but you can watch it on the Patriots Press Pass YouTube in the morning. Okay, that will get posted on there probably 9 a.m. or something like that, 8 or 9 a.m. You can watch it there. But again, we'll be live on the Pats Nation Network, YouTube, and obviously it'll be available in podcast form. If you're looking for it in podcast form, it's going to be there. We actually might start doing this potentially every week for our breakdowns, our post game shows and whatnot. I'm not sure if that's the case, but there's a chance. So, but nevertheless, if you want to catch us live, subscribe to us on the Pats Nation Network YouTube, and then even if we're not there, we'll definitely be here.
And then since we're just doing logistics on the pod, next Thursday is Christmas, so I'm assuming our Pats Jets preview that'll be like a Friday morning show. Either
Friday morning or even a Tuesday night, potentially, but probably
Tuesday feels like too. Like I feel like we're gonna need some injury information, so we might have to wait till the 26th.
But then again, is anyone going to practice on? No one's going to practice on Thursday, right?
They'll still have to put out an injury report of some kind.
They'll probably practice on Wednesday, yeah. So maybe Friday. We'll talk logistically. Matt and I will chat about it, but it will definitely will not be Thursday night. That much I can promise you. So,
so anyways, I'm not here.
Definitely not Wednesday. No, that's not even a question. It's certainly not going to be Wednesday. I can tell you that much. So anyways, so that's what we got. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate you guys, and enjoy Sunday Night Football. We'll talk to you after Sunday Night Football here on the Pats Nation Network YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other, and go Pats.